Hey pessoal, sobre o trazendo mais um vídeo. Hoje iremos reagir a Hora de Aventura from Rodrigo Zin. Now, this is a Rodrigo Zin song, and Rodrigo Zin always has amazing lyrics. His music is all about telling the truth. It reveals some of the more atrocities of the world that I feel like other artists don't want to focus on. So I'm very excited to listen to this. But before I listen to it, huge disclaimer. I know that this song, it talks a lot about the political state of Brazil. And I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of political messages within the song. So as I'm listening to this, let me say this. I am not an educated person. I am not the best resource for talking about politics, especially politics surrounding Brazil. So I'm just here to listen to the music, and I will talk about what I think. I will interpret the message how I see it, but hopefully in the comment section, you can educate me on what is the true meaning behind some of the lyrics. So with that being said, let's get into it.
Bacon pancakes, making bacon pancakes. Tô rimando tipo Drake lá em pound cake. The promise in Neverland, o que cês são, é missing gold pound, babe. No love, just found hate. Pique Yu-Gi-Oh, sua vez. Se posiciona, não fique nesse talvez. Esses manos talvez são do tipo atrasei. Se cês irão dos mortos, o Brasil odeia vocês.
So already I love the reference to Promised Neverland and Goldie Pond. For those who don't know, if you haven't read the Promised Neverland manga, Goldie Pond was a story where Emma and the other children, they were rebelling against the Monster Society. And I feel like, let me look at the lyrics again. So yeah, I feel like this line can be interpreted in many different ways. Goldie Pond obviously focused on children rising up and to fight against the system. And I feel like that is something we need to educate children on. Just because you're a child, it doesn't mean you can't do anything. Think about Greta Thunberg. She is 15 years old and she is making a revolution to talk about climate change. She is talking to government. She is organizing rallies, and she's just a child. She literally is a kid who's trying to make a difference. And there are a lot of people who are telling her that she's a kid. She doesn't understand anything. So why do anything? However, just because you're a kid, it doesn't mean you can't do anything. So I really like that.
Pound, babe, no love, just found hate. Pique Yu-Gi-Oh, sua vez. Se posiciona, não fique nesse talvez. Esses manos talvez.
Exactly. And if you grow up thinking that you can't do anything, you stay stagnant. You play life like it's Yu-Gi-Oh. It's always your turn. Now it's my turn. It's your turn. Now it's my turn. That's not how life works. Life isn't just about taking turns. Life is all about you taking initiative and you do it. So I really like that.
São do tipo atrasei. Se cês irão dos mortos, o Brasil odeia vocês. Acompanhou o fim, Jake, mas não percebeu o fim que teve toda a humanidade que não sede. Por sua vontade antes da gente, com bombas nucleares igualmente. Acabaram com os lares pela frente, as vidas de milhares novamente. E o lítio é o reflexo da nossa mente. Polícia doce saiu da viatura, arma na cintura, hora de aventura. No mundo de que loucura, no mundo de que loucura. Polícia doce saiu da viatura, arma na cintura. pode ser só luz. Lucas disse em Ateus, olha que eu vejo a luz. Eu me sinto igual Zagreu. Vocês acreditam em armas, eu acredito em Deus. Eu acredito em karma, por isso deu no que deu. Coque doce na branca que não é açúcar. Tramando a forja pra cair as bolas de sinuca. Com a arma apontada, não importa, ele pergunta: o que tu faz por aqui? Ô vagabundo, e qual a droga que tu usa? Vermelha fica...
Ooh. Already a lot of lyrics and talking about, it seems like, police brutality. That is definitely a subject that I hate. Police brutality is obviously a huge issue, regardless of where you live. This is what I mean by I'm not the best person to talk about these issues, because I feel like someone who is actually educated should talk about it. So all I can do is interpret, but I really like what he's talking about. First, let's talk about this line right here.
Vocês acreditam em armas, eu acredito em Deus. Eu acredito em karma, por isso deu no que deu.
You believe in guns and I believe in God. That line is really good, I think. I am not the most faithful person, even though I do wear a cross. This is mostly just because this is my grandma's and this is a way for me to remember her. So I'm not the most religious person, but I do understand what Rodrigo Zin is talking about. A lot of people rely on violence to solve issues, when in reality, violence only causes more problems. So we can't just constantly solve issues with a war, can't always solve issues with fighting. What we can do is peacefully try to make a change. And obviously peace won't work as much, I feel like. A lot of people feel like if you're not fighting, you're already losing. So there's a lot to talk about with just that one lyric. But I'm going to continue listening.
Coque doce na branca que não é açúcar. Tramando a forja pra cair as bolas de sinuca. Com a arma apontada, não importa, ele pergunta: o que tu faz por aqui? Ô vagabundo, e qual a droga que tu...
This line right here is also really interesting. I love how Rodrigo Zin, he immediately talks about how the police officer is automatically starting off antagonizing someone. Instead of asking what's happening, he's assuming a lot of stuff. The cop is asking, what are you doing here? And what drugs do you use? Automatically, the cop is making the person seem like a suspect versus trying to help them. So, once again, a lot of discussion just to be had right there.
Vermelha ficou a blusa. Era só adolescente sozinho na rua. Confundiram seus livros com uma pistola. Caso isolado que todo dia se escuta. Hora de aventura. Hora de aventura.
That is a heartbreaking story. The police officer mistook his book for a gun and immediately killed him. Man, that story is tragic, and the worst thing about that story is it's so common nowadays. We hear a lot of stories where police officers accidentally kill someone because they thought the person had a weapon. And keep in mind, a lot of these cases, a lot of these stories are with kids and with teenagers. So it is even more upsetting to hear that a police officer shot a kid.
Hora de aventura. Hora de aventura.
Só há trevas para você e só morte para seus amigos. Vamos navegar até que toda a luz seja extinta.
Polícia doce, saio da viatura, arma na cintura, hora de aventura. No mundo de que loucura. No mundo de que loucura. Vidas de travesseiro, hora de aventura. Chuva de canivete, hora de aventura. Ainda não é cedo pra mudar a postura. Eu também tenho medo, mas sigo na luta.
I think Rodrigo Zin ends that song perfectly. He is scared, but he continues to fight because that's the right thing to do. A lot of us are scared, and fear controls us. A lot of us don't want to do things because we are afraid of what might happen. However, it's never too late to make a change. And if you are scared to make a change, we are constantly going to be having problems. So, man, this song is definitely amazing. There are so many things that I want to talk about, but I feel like maybe I shouldn't, just because obviously I'm not educated enough and I don't want to accidentally offend anyone. But just talking about the music, I think it's really interesting that Rodrigo Zin uses Adventure Time as an example, or uses the story of Adventure Time to talk about these events. I feel like it's such a good comparison because Adventure Time is obviously a cartoon and the world is so colorful and it's really silly, but beneath all those colors, beneath all that silliness, there's this dark story behind it. So I really love that. And the fact that Rodrigo Zin also talked a lot about children, talked about Promised Neverland, talked about all these different cartoons and anime. I feel like this whole song is just talking about children and children dying because of police officers. So that comparison is phenomenal and something I wouldn't have expected from the story of Adventure Time, or a song that is called Adventure Time. Wow, that is incredible. Rodrigo Zin, by far, one of the best rappers in the community. Not only are his lyrics amazing, but he talks about issues that I feel like a lot of people need to hear. And even as someone who is a foreigner, as someone who doesn't understand what is happening, it's still important for me to hear about these stories, because the world isn't just America. The world isn't just my country. The world is so vast, and there are so many other issues happening in the entire world that we need to talk about. So I think it's incredible for me to learn about this, and I will definitely try to do as much research as I can to get a better understanding of what's happening. But hopefully everyone enjoyed my reaction. This is definitely a more serious song, and my analysis isn't going to be as great. But Rodrigo Zin is doing something amazing, and he's talking about issues that we need to all hear. So thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Until then, obrigado por assistir. Simply ordinary. Howdy.